Not even 100 years. Jeez. Good God. So fucked up. Irish forest cover is now down to 12%. The next century is particularly devastating for Irish woodlands and wildlife. 1606. It is estimated that the Tenali Woods, which once covered all the hills and valleys of South Wicklow, could furnish the crown with timber for shipping and other uses for the next 20 years. 3 years later, 1609, Ulster plantations began, with the province's prime lands assigned to British undertakers. Often, the planters' first act was to deforest the land to make it suitable for grazing and to monetize the timber. One would assign prime plots of land of the country you were seeking to conquer to loyal subjects from the home country, these quote-unquote planters. By virtue of their new land, become over time the economic and then subsequently the political elite. The idea is to put into effect in Ireland throughout the 17th century. 1610, the Lord Blennerhassett's, quote-unquote, recommended periodic manhunts to track down the human wolves to their lairs, end quote. The human wolves he is referring to are Irish warriors who resided in the forest. These warriors are seen as a threat to the new planters. 1614, 4 years pass. An Englishman named Henrik Tuttisham was authorized to assemble wolf extermination squads in every country in Ireland. This time, it's the canine wolf the colonizers are seeking to exterminate. 1649, Cromwell's campaign begins with the massacres of the Irish at Drogdier and Wexford. In 1652, Cromwell's Irish government set substantial bounties on wolves. This attracts wolf hunters from England. Bounties paid indicate that the over 700 wolves were exterminated at this time. Jesus. 1656. The Civil Survey of Ireland details woods by townland. According to these records, Ireland forestry cover is now down, to a meager 2%. 3.5 centuries later, in 2020, our native woodland is still at 2%. 1666. The Great Fire of London. After the London Fire, a law is passed prohibiting the building of houses in Dublin from wood, which was, in any case, now scarce and expensive. The demand for Irish oak to rebuild London, though, was very great. 1704. Catholics are barred from owning property in Ireland. 1711. 100 years after the Ulster plantations began, 75% of the land of Ireland has been forfeited and made available to colonists who immediately deforested the land. Ireland is now a quote-unquote treeless wilderness. Quote, they have not left enough wood to make a toothpick in places. Chevalier de La Toscane. In the year 1786, the last wolf in Ireland was killed in County Carlow, having been the prime suspect in recent sheep killings. 1903, the Wyndham Land Act in 1903 killed off the landlordism culture in agricultural Ireland. Government loans were advanced to tenants to purchase their land at reasonable terms. Over the next decade, absentee landlords hastily felled forestry to generate revenue before the final transfer of ownership to their Irish tenants. 1992. A 20-year hard-fought campaign by a number of public interest groups saves the very last vestiges of the Tenale oak woods from being clear-felled, Europe's oldest coppice woods, and Ireland's most ancient oak forest is now under government protection. 2020. More than a century after the low point of 1.5%, Ireland's natural native tree cover is now a meager 2%. Our official tree cover is of 11%, is the lowest in Europe. 9% of the official 11% is monoculture plantations, which are not a habitat for wildlife, and they are actually contribute negatively to climate change. 2021. After 8 centuries of deforestation and devastation, a movement of people planting trees gathers momentum. Will you be part of it? That's sad. Fuck, I cried in the free episode remembering a Star Trek episode, and now I'm fucking crying about real shit.